Book 3, Chapter 4, The Adventures of Sir Bors de Gannis. Sir Bors de Gannis, who was a cousin of Sir Lancelot, rode quietly away from Camelot in quest of the Holy Grail, and before he had gone very far he met with a hermit upon an ass. "Greetings, Sir Knight," said the old hermit. "What manner of man are you?" "Good father," answered Sir Bors, "I am a simple knight of King Arthur's court, and my great desire is to learn how best to seek for the Holy Grail, for in quest of it I am bound." "Come with me," said the hermit, "and I will instruct you, for not by earthly strength may you reach the Grail, but only by purity of heart." For many days Sir Bors remained at the hermitage, learning many things, and all that time he ate nothing but bread and water as the hermit did. At length the day came when he must ride on his way once more. "Gentle sir," said the hermit, "see to it that you eat bread only and drink water until you are fed at the table of the Holy Grail." "Good father," answered Sir Bors, "that I promise. But how do you know that I shall ever come to the table of the Holy Grail?" "There are but few of you who shall come to it," said the hermit, "and you, Sir Bors, are one of them, though you have done no great deeds, nor won undying fame in Logres. For in purity of life and not in pride of deeds dwells that which makes a man worthy to achieve this quest. Go forward in the fear of God, and live to tell of the ending of the quest of the Holy Grail. My words may you believe. My words you may believe, for I am Nesines, the hermit of Carbonek." Bors rode forward after this for many days, meeting with some few adventures by the way, but nothing very unusual. But at last it chanced, as he passed through a forest and came to a parting of two roads, that a great adventure befell him. On one side he saw suddenly two knights, leading a horse on which was bound a naked man, and the two knights were beating him with thorns until the blood ran down to the ground. As Sir Bors came into sight, the wounded man raised his head, and Bors saw, to his horror, that it was his brother Sir Lionel. Full of fury, Sir Bors made ready to attack the two cowardly knights, but just as he was about to set spurs to his horse, a cry rang out from the other road. "Help me, for the love of Maiden Mary!" Wheeling round, Sir Bors saw a lovely damsel struggling with an armed knight who was dragging her towards his horse to carry her away. "Help me, noble knight!" cried the maiden, "for King Arthur's sake, who surely made you knight. Help a damsel in distress, and suffer me not to be shamed by this wicked man." When Sir Bors heard this, he knew not what to do. "If I let those two carry my brother away," he thought, "he will probably be dead before I can come to his rescue. But if I leave this maiden, then she will suffer black shame, and maybe death also, and by mine oaths of knighthood I may not leave any woman who is in need of my help." Then Bors prayed, "Fair Lord, whose creature I am, preserve my brother Lionel, and let not those knights slay him, for I must succour this maid first." Then he turned to the knight, who had the maiden across his horse's neck by now, and was riding away with her held in front of him. "Sir Knight," cried Bors, "loose that maiden this instant, or I will smite you dead from behind." Then the knight tried to escape by riding away swiftly, but finding in a little while that Sir Bors drew nearer and nearer to him, he let the maiden slip to the ground, wheeled his horse, and with spear in rest came galloping to meet him. Then Sir Bors couched his spear also, and the two met with a crash that broke both spears. They drew their swords after this and lashed together until the sparks flew, but in a little while Sir Bors struck the knight a mortal blow, so that he fell to the ground and lay still. "Fair damsel," said Sir Bors, "now you may go free of this evil knight." "I thank you, noble sir," said the maiden, "but lead me back to my home, I pray you, for I am afraid that I should meet others, such as him, in the dark forest." "Right gladly will I," answered Sir Bors, and he rode with her until the evening, when they came to a high tower set upon a hill. There the damsel made Bors welcome, and he sat down to a fine dinner beside her, while 10 other maidens waited on them, or sang and played sweetly. "I pray you," said Sir Bors, "let plain bread be brought for me to eat, and a goblet of pure water, for nothing else may I eat until my quest is accomplished." And though the damsel and the other maidens strove to persuade him, Bors would touch none of the feast, and when he had eaten his bread and water, he would not even rest upon the soft bed which had been prepared for him, but lay down on the hard stone floor among the rushes, and there was soon asleep. In the middle of the night the damsel came to Sir Bors and tempted him in many ways, but he answered her courteously, yet would do none of the evil things to which she tried to persuade him. Then she led him up to the top of the tower in the bright moonlight, and there all the other maidens were standing. "Ah, Sir Bors, gentle knight," they all cried, "have mercy on us, and suffer our lady to have her will. For if you do not, she will cast herself from this tower, and we must do the same and die with her. Save all our lives, for if we die now, surely you are shamed for ever." Then Sir Bors trembled, not knowing whether to commit deadly sin or save the damsels from death, and in his doubt he prayed for guidance and made the sign of the cross before his forehead. As he did this, the moon seemed to go out like a candle, and there was a rushing of wind and a crying of all the fiends of hell. Then the moon came out again, and Sir Bors found himself alone on the bare hillside, with no sign of any tower nor any damsels. In the morning Sir Bors continued on his way, and before long, as he rode through the forest, he heard the sound of sweet bells on the breeze. Turning aside from the high road, he followed a path which led him to an abbey built in a beautiful clearing where a few mighty cedar trees grew upon great open lawns. Up to the abbey he rode, and what was his surprise and joy to see his brother Lionel, fully armed, sitting his horse in the gateway. To earth he sprang and went towards him, crying, "Fair sweet brother, how glad I am to see you alive and well!" But Sir Lionel scowled fiercely upon him, and exclaimed, "Ah, Sir Bors, you who wished me dead have been disappointed. You went off to help a damsel, leaving those 2 knights to torture and kill me. Never come near me again, for if you do I will fight with you and slay you." When Sir Bors realized how angry his brother was, he knelt before him and asked his forgiveness. "Keep away, Sir Bors," was all that Lionel would say. "However, keep away, for if you do not, I shall treat you as a felon and a traitor, and hew you in pieces where you kneel. Evil coward, you are not worthy to be called the son of good King Bohort de Gannis, who was our father. But get you quickly upon your horse, and either flee away or else turn and fight with me as a knight should." When Sir Bors realized that he must fight with his brother or else die, he did not know what to do, but he would not fight, for it was an unholy combat. Moreover, he remembered that Lionel was his elder brother, to whom he must show all reverence and obedience. So he knelt still on the ground and said, "Fair sweet brother, have mercy upon me and slay me not, but remember the great love which there was always between us." But Lionel seemed like one possessed of a devil, so filled with evil hate and madness was he. Crying aloud, he set spurs to his horse and rode over Sir Bors, so that his horse's hoofs struck him to the earth, wounding him so grievously that he fainted with the pain. Lionel leapt to the ground, drew his sword, and was preparing to cut off his brother's head, when a monk came out from the abbey and ran between them, flinging himself upon Sir Bors and crying, "Ah, gentle knight, have mercy upon me and upon your brother, for if you slay him, you do one of the most sinful deeds in the world, for of all knights he is well nigh the best." "Get away, sir priest," screamed Lionel, "or I will slay you as well." "Indeed," said the good old monk, "I had rather you slew me than him, for my death will not be half such a loss to this realm as his would be." "Have it your own way," shouted Lionel wildly, and he smote so hard that the monk's head flew from his shoulders and went rolling across the grass. Then Lionel reared up his sword once more to kill Sir Bors, but at that moment a cold blast of wind seemed to blow between them, and a voice said, "Stay your hand, for the fiend has gone out of you." Then Sir Lionel knelt trembling and weeping on the ground, and there was Nesines, the hermit of Carbonek, standing a little way away, leaning on his staff. "For God's love, fair sweet brother, forgive me my trespass," sobbed Lionel, and Sir Bors rose slowly to his feet and embraced his brother, saying, "May God forgive you, as I do gladly." Then Nesines led them both into the abbey, and there Bors lodged for many days until he was whole again. Lionel remained there for a year and a day, doing penance, but Bors rode away through the forest until he came to the seashore. And there, floating quietly on the still seas, he saw a mysterious ship hung with white samite, which glowed and gleamed with the red and golden lights of the evening. Leaving his horse, Sir Bors entered the enchanted ship, and immediately it moved away from the land, sailing as swiftly as a bird across the waves, out of the daylight, and along the glimmering path of the setting sun into the darkness of the night. Sir Bors slept, and when he woke he found another knight lying near him in the ship, fully armed except for his helmet, and he recognized him for Sir Percival of Wales. "You must have come here by God's special guidance," said Percival, and they rejoiced in each other's good fortune. Over the morning waves sailed the enchanted ship, and Percival told Bors of all his adventures and of the temptations which had beset him, and his sister, the holy nun of Carbonek, ministered to them, and instructed them in many divine truths which she had learnt from Nesines the hermit. "And now," said Sir Percival to Sir Bors, as the enchanted ship carried them swiftly over the bright waves round the coast of Britain, "now we lack nothing except Sir Galahad, the good knight."